JBL TuneBeam isn't exactly a replacement for the JBL 230NC because it's still in the market. There are some places where there are minor differences, but there are other places where there are significant differences. So if you are in the market and trying to decide between the two of these, I hope this review does help answer some of your questions. If you would like to see my in-depth reviews about both of these earphones, I will leave them down in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump straight into how these are built. Both these sets of earphones come with very similar unboxing experiences, but when it comes to their design, there are slight differences. They have a matte finish which clearly stands up against the test of time because this 230NC is over a year old and only has a few scratches and scuffs on the back of the case because of being placed on the back on surfaces. You can expect the same wear and tear from the TuneBeam over time. Both lids need a very gentle push to swing open, which I quite like, and they have LED lights on the front to let you know how much charge the case holds. The TuneBeam has its branding on the rear of its case, and both have USB-C charging, with the TuneBeam's point below the case and the 230's point behind it. The matte finish carries over to the earbuds, and so do the design elements. You'd think that they have the same earphones, but the TuneBeams have shorter stalks. So if you happen to think that either earbuds could fit into each other's charging cases, you'd be wrong because of their sizes. Plus, they are magnetically opposed to the wrong cases. Despite looking like larger earphones, they are both comfortable for longer listening sessions. I have used earphones with larger looking designs which hurt my left ear, but I've never had any issues with either of these. The ear tips are soft and comfortable with both these earphones, and the only real difference between them is that the 230NC's mounts are orange. One of the biggest benefits between the two is that the 230NC comes with an IPX4 rating, whereas the TuneBeam comes with an IP54 rating, which should give you a little more confidence when using these outdoors or at the gym. And speaking about benefits, something you could benefit from, especially right now during the Amazon sales, is you can get an Amazon gift voucher and up to 10 times rewards on online spends with exclusive partners. And you can also get up to 5 times rewards on other online spends. You can earn a reward point every time you spend 100 rupees, and you can accumulate these reward points and eventually spend it on a wide variety of gifts. You can also get a 1% fuel surcharge waiver for every transaction that is between 500 rupees to 3000 rupees. And you can get a ClearTrip e-voucher of about 2000 rupees if you had an online spend annually of about 1 lakh rupees. So if you would like all these benefits, you can sign up for an SBI credit card, and if you would like to follow through with how to sign up with them, I'll leave their link in the description below. On a feature front, the 230NC comes with Bluetooth version 5.2, whereas the TuneBeam comes with Bluetooth version 5.3. The TuneBeam also features multi-device pairing. The multi-device pairing on the TuneBeam is always connected to 2 devices at the same time. So if you want to listen to media on your secondary device, you'll have to manually pause your primary device and vice versa. The only time it pauses your media is if you're on a device and the other one receives a call. It considers the call to be a priority, so it latches onto that device immediately. It works well and will be convenient for many people to use. You can download the JBL Headphones app from the App Store or Play Store if you want a little more control with these earphones. It lets you control everything from active noise cancelling to EQ settings to gesture controls, activating smart audio, which ensures the best audio codec is used for best clarity, and smart video for reducing latency for video consumption or gaming. You get your voice assistant set up and a feature I've really come to like, which is the Find My Buds feature, which will let you find your buds as long as they're in Bluetooth range if you've lost them under a cushion or sofa. Coming back to those gesture controls, a little thing that they've changed which I quite appreciate is the acknowledgement beep, because whenever you press the 230NC, I found its acknowledgement beeps to be a little too loud and a little too jarring, and there's no real way to even control the volume levels of that. Now the TuneBeam doesn't let you control the volume levels, but when you switch between ANC modes, you do get a lady's voice that tells you which mode you're in, and it's a lot more soft and pleasant on the ears than having a loud jarring beep like the 230NC has. Both of these earphones come with active noise cancelling, and they're not exactly on the aggressive side of removing noises like some other mass market earphones that I've tested in the past. But these are just about right because both of them do a good job of eliminating fan motor noises, AC motor noises, and even engine noises if you live close to a busy street like I do. The TuneBeam is slightly better at reducing droning sounds, but honestly I think both of them are pretty good at what they do, because when it's completely silent and I've got both of them on with their active noise cancelling, I can hear my heartbeat. And honestly, if it's able to reduce droning noises like fans and AC motors that much, I think it's pretty good no matter which one you settle for. Both these earphones use 2 microphones per earbud for their active noise cancelling, and those same microphones are also used for managing it's environmental noise cancelling for any phone calls you might want to take. So if you do want to know how your voice would carry over to your recipient in a busy setting, there's really only one way to find out. I'm calling you from the usual busy street I normally make all these call tests from, to give you a sense of the noise that exists in this environment, because both these earphones are going to be battling exactly all of this. There's a whole bunch of traffic moving down this busy street. There is some construction work going on over my left shoulder, and there seems to be somebody using a chainsaw to cut a tree further there in the distance. So I don't know if you can hear that over the camera microphone, but I have been playing back over the camera microphone to give you the idea of how much noise that exists here. So I will switch over now from the camera microphone over to the JBL 230NC right about now. So this is pretty much the sound you can expect to carry over to your recipient when you're on call with this specific set of earphones. I found that it does a pretty good job, at least in the previous tests that I've done with it. It does have two microphones per earphone, so it does have enough mics to isolate your voice over the noise that's coming through the call. So your recipients should be able to hear you fairly clearly if you're talking to them via the 230NC in particular. So this has been the sound demo for the 230NC, and I'll shift over to the Tune Beam right about now. So this should give you a general idea of how the Tune Beam will handle its noise compared to the 230NC. Now, I don't know if there'll be much of a difference, but right now you're sitting in the reviewer seat, so you can decide which one works better for you. Now, another thing to keep in mind is with the JBL app, in fact, a neat feature they have is a voice aware feature, because there are some people who like feedback of their voices to them. When you're using any earphones, normally it plugs your external voice out. So you can switch that on, and you can toggle between low, medium, and high levels for your voice to play back with you. So you can keep tabs on how loud you're speaking if you're in a busy place, or if you're just used to hearing your voice when you speak through earphones. So that is a nice feature that I've not really seen in any other brand in particular. So there you have it. This has been the call demo between the 230NC and the TuneBeam. So let me know what you think. Which one is maybe marginally better than the other in the comments below. And I hope you've gotten a better understanding of the earphones via this demo. And I will see you back at the studio. Both these earphones come with 6mm dynamic drivers, support SBC and AAC codecs, and have a frequency response of 20Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz. JBL will be introducing their LC3 codec to the TuneBeam a little later in the year. This uses a slightly lower bitrate but ensures the same audio quality as you'd get with an AAC codec. So I'm keen to see how that would function, and I'll maybe make a video about that when I get my hands on it. On a volume front, I've been listening to the TuneBeam at around 45 or 50% volume, which is just right for me. The 230NC at this volume is a little too loud because it is a louder set of earphones. If I were to put the 230NC at 50% volume, it's equal to the TuneBeam sitting at about 65 or 70%. So there is a considerable difference when it comes to how loud these can get. Now, what's nice is JBL has introduced a max volume limiter, but this only exists when in the app when you're connected to the TuneBeam. You can cap it at a maximum of 85 dB, whereas with the 230NC this feature doesn't exist just yet. Both these earphones tend to thin out a little bit at lower volumes, which is expected from most audio products, but they do manage a little sense of roundedness even as low as maybe 35 or 30%. When you go below that, there's no depth to them really. So even to wind down at the end of the day, I think 30% on either of these earphones is good enough to enjoy, just to mellow down at the end of the day. Soundstage on these earphones is very similar to other earphones in the market. The sound sits within a bubble in your head, giving you the illusion of some tones coming from further out of them, but this happens very rarely. It has good left and right separation and has a dead center phantom channel. Imaging on these is kind of similar, but the TuneBeam is a little finer in its detail. The 230NC comes here as if it's a little soft and unsure. The TuneBeam is certainly a little crisper. High frequencies on these are slightly different despite both of these earphones having a similar sized driver. The 230NC isn't really lacking in this range. It does have a bit of a tweak, but it just comes at you as if it's a little unsure of itself compared to the TuneBeam, which has more emphasis in this range but has a tightness and better detail in its delivery. Both these earphones stay clear of being too forward in this range, so don't cause any listening fatigue over longer listening sessions. Listening to Cantaloupe Island performed by Jeff Goldblum and the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra. The highs have good energy from both these sets of earphones, but it's the tune beam that comes across as being the better suited performer here. It's cleaner, tighter and better well defined compared to the 230NC and delivers this range in a more effortless manner, making it more enjoyable to consume highs with these earphones. Mid frequencies on both these earphones have a slight recess, and yet again both of them have slightly different characteristics here. The 230NC does seem a little more forward compared to the tune beam, but where the biggest difference is in how they deal with separation. The 230NC seems to share a space with vocals and instruments in this range, whereas the tune beam has a clearer line between these two elements, allowing you to enjoy either your vocals or instruments when listening to the tune beam. The tune beam has better structure and definition in its overall delivery here. Listening to Kian Ducrow's I'll Be Waiting, the choir version, his voice does come through as being a little more forward with the 230NC, which can distract you from the rest of this well-recorded track. But where the biggest difference lies is when the choir comes in. It seems to get lost a little bit with the 230NC, as if they disappear in the distance. You can hear them, but they sound faint. Whereas with the tune beam, you can hear them presented a little closer to you, making listening to this track a little more intimate, considering how well these present each section of the choir. When it comes to the low frequencies, in typical JBL fashion, it's big-bodied and enjoyable no matter which earphones you listen to, but they do have their differences. The 230NC is able to get your blood pumping if you plan on using them for a workout for certain, but it's got more of a prominence in the mid-bass region with a flatter response in the sub-bass area. The tune beam, on the other hand, has a deeper extension, which is able to bring out sub-low frequencies that the 230NC doesn't. It's got a much better delivery and definition in this area for certain, making it a more enjoyable set of earphones to listen to between the two. Listening to one of my favorite tracks, Cafe de Flore by Dr. Rocket. Despite the 230NC being a louder set of earphones to listen to, it doesn't quite cut it in this range compared to the tune beam. It handles this range well, independently. It's only when you compare the two that you realize how much work JBL has put into the tune beam. Yes, it might play back a little softer than the 230NC, but that trade-off in loudness gives you the next best thing: detail and clarity in your music, whether it's down here in the bass or all the way up in the highs. Within the JBL app, you do get a few presets in the EQ settings which you can toggle with, and you also do get a manual option. Now, if you would like to know how these EQ sound, I have left my in-depth reviews down below, so you'll have to skip over to the chapter about sound. And if you'd like to know how to tweak the manual EQ in particular, I'll leave a card up here for you to click on, because I have made a video about this very thing. So to sum up, on a build front, I think these are spectacular because they've stuck with the matte finish, which I'm personally a fan of. I'm not really a fan of the glossy because it picks up a lot of scratches and scuffs. I also like the fact that both of these are so sensitive to being opened, because you just slightly tap on the lid and both of them pop up and are ready to go. On a feature front, the touch controls have never given me any problems. I've had the 230NC for well over a year and I've not really had any false inputs or non-responsive inputs as well. It's always worked well. So I do expect the tune beam also to not give trouble over time. And the other thing I do like about this is the fact that they've used Bluetooth version 5.3, which is quite efficient. Not only do you get the multi-device pairing, which works quite well, but because 5.3 is so efficient, their battery life is definitely better than the 230NC. I thought the 230NC used to be really good when it came to its battery, but this outperforms that, I think, by plus 2 hours, which is quite a spectacular number to have on any set of TWS earphones. And of course, when JBL does launch that LC3 codec, it will be using a slower bitrate, but without compromising the audio quality. And this, I think, will also ensure that you get even longer battery life. So when it comes to the battery life in particular, if you're looking for a set of earphones that needs to have very long call times or even listening times, I think the tune beam is a no-brainer, because it is certainly better than the 230NC on that front. On a sound front, as much as I really like the JBL 230NC, I think this is a terrific upgrade to that set of earphones in particular. It's not come in as a replacement, because the 230NC is still available, and I don't think they're going to discontinue it, because a lot of people have been buying it. The 230NC is no slouch when it comes to the way it sounds. It is a very enjoyable set of earphones, but I think when JBL was making that, they were more focused on loudness more than anything else, whereas the direction they've taken for the tune beam, I think, is very different, because this is a step towards clarity, and the tune beam is significantly cleaner sounding and better detailed than the 230NC, which I honestly didn't think somebody like JBL would do. Overall, the Tune Beam I find to be way more fun to listen to, be it if you're consuming any video or even if you're listening to some of your music. There's certain elements in the music now that come alive more than it would with the 230NC. So I'd strongly recommend this basis, the way it sounds. Forget every other feature that it's got over and above the 230NC. The sound alone has taken some level of importance when it comes to making this upgraded set of earphones. So if sound is a priority to you and you want to invest in a set of JBL earphones, I'd say the Tune Beam is the way to go. A quick note that I do want to touch on, I've had a lot of people comment in some of my comments about the issues they face with the JBL 230NC in particular, and that is when one of the earbuds doesn't charge up with the case. They've had instances where they've gone to the service centers and the service center has just cleaned it up, but they've gotten it working, and that's okay as long as the set of earphones starts working. But the thing is, it's been happening more regularly. So I've had a few people write in completely frustrated and tell me that they've been up and down about 4 or 5 times. Now, this is not easy for a lot of people to do. So in a situation like that, it would be ideal if JBL would consider replacing a product. And I have spoken to some people at JBL and they tell me that they do have a strong focus in after sales. So honestly, if you are having any issues with your set of 230NCs and you're getting frustrated with them, it's worthwhile going and just telling them that, listen, I don't want to keep this set of earphones because, I'm not going to keep coming 4 or 5 times more. It's worthwhile asking the service center manager if you can upgrade to another set of earphones. And if you're planning on doing that, I would strongly recommend the JBL Tune Beam, because I think JBL has kind of addressed the issues with the 230NC by giving this an IP54 rating. So I think it should manage that small issue that it had. I think it was a dust problem that was going in the case or the earphone. So very clearly, this is an evolution, I'd say, on the 230NC, because they've taken everything that's good with that and fine-tuned it and made a significantly better product. So like I said, if you are getting fed up with your 230NCs, if they've been giving you trouble, it is worthwhile upgrading to the Tune Beam for certain. So coming to the prices, how much do these cost? Well, at the time of recording this video, the price of the Tune Beam it has an MRP of 7,999, but their selling price right now is 6,999. And if you would like a further discount on that, if you use this code in particular, you will get a 10% discount, which is JBLX Paul's POV for the Tune Beam in particular. The JBL 230NC is going for a maximum retail price of 7,999, but it's being sold for 5,899. So you might be getting slightly different prices right now because the sale seasons are coming up and so on. So it's worthwhile keeping an eye on those prices in particular. And that code also only works on the JBL website. So it's worthwhile seeing the prices between the online platforms and the website as well, just to see where you can get a better deal. So if you're wondering which one is more value for money, well, I will definitely say that I think the Tune Beam is, because I think the multi-device pairing is going to benefit a lot of people if you're in the office or even if you're working from home. It's a very convenient feature to have and it works quite flawlessly. It's not fidgety like some other earphones I've used where you have to press and hold the earbud for it to switch over, or in some cases if you have simultaneous pairing, you start typing on a keyboard and it disconnects from the other device and connects to this one where you're typing, so you don't hear your media. So all those devices are very glitchy, whereas this one genuinely works properly. So the multi-device pairing, the long battery life, and the sound, these are massive selling points for me. At least these are the things that I like, with sound being the absolute priority. So I definitely recommend the Tune Beam because it is certainly value for money. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I hope I helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.